Kyra and welcome back to my channel. So first things first, I am so sorry for being gone for a full week. I did not post any videos at all last week, and that's just because I needed to just get my life together, to be honest. I had a lot of stuff I needed to do and take care of that I hadn't had a chance to do. So I just took a week off from posting beauty videos on this channel as well as vlogs on my other channel, and kind of just focused on other things I need to do around the house and just life stuff in general. So yeah, I took a week off, kind of recuperate, but I am back and ready to post new content for you guys. And so as you can tell by the title of the video, I will be doing a video all about my favorite go-to makeup brushes. Now, I'm sure you guys can probably tell that I don't typically call out my brushes throughout my tutorials, and honestly that's just because I reuse the same brushes over and over and over again. So for me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to kind of just recall out the same brushes, especially when I use the same brushes all the time. So I figured, why not go ahead and dedicate a full video to brushes, and also had a couple different requests also to do a video on brushes. So you guys asked, so here is that video. For this video, I'll kind of just call out the brushes that I use on a regular basis, and I'll kind of do it in the order that I actually apply my makeup. So brows, eyes, then skin, and kind of call out the brushes as well as explain what they are used for whenever I am doing my makeup. So I'm going to start off with brows, and if you guys watched my brow tutorial that I posted I think a month or two ago, it was very in-depth. So if you haven't watched it, the link is down below. But in that video I mentioned two brushes that I always use, and that is the Anastasia Beverly Hills number 12 brush. I love this brush for brows, you guys. It is double-ended. One end is a smaller angled brush and the other end is a spoolie brush, and this brush here, y'all, works wonders when working with pomades and powdery substances for your brows. This is perfect. Again, watch the video to see how I use it. The link is down below, but I always use this brush. And then I also use the Morphe B75 brush as well to clean up my brows. This, I just dip in concealer and kind of carve out my brows from there. And this is a really good flat top brush to define your brows with. So both of these together are a really great combo for brows. Okay, so once I have my brows done, I typically jump into my eyes. Now, I use a nice variety of brushes for my eyes, and this is actually where I'll kind of show you guys the most brushes. And that's because to me, eyes are so intricate. Like, to create different looks, you have to have different types of brushes, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean in a second. But honestly, different brushes do different things, and so whenever you want to create really nice complex eye looks, it's a key to have different brush types. So first thing I do is I always go in with my eyeshadow primer and blend it out with this brush here. Now this is a Beauty Cosmetics 129 brush, and I believe this brush here came in a set actually. It might have been the Sculpt and Blend 2 set, I think. I don't know. I got it like a year and a half ago. So I've been using this ever since, and it's good quality, y'all. Still works. It's amazing. But typically, like I said, I just apply my primer to my eyelids and then go in with this brush to blend it out and kind of just make sure that I don't have any harsh lines or anywhere, and I have a nice flawless base to apply eyeshadow to. So I always go in and blend out my primer with this brush, and then after that I just go straight into my eyeshadow looks. So typically I'll start off by applying a transition shade. You guys have seen me do that plenty of times before in my tutorials. And my favorite go-to brush for blending out transition colors is my Beauty Cosmetics number 12 brush. Now this one actually I believe is sold individually. So you can go on their site, again it's Beauty Cosmetics, and go on their site and search the number 12 brush and it should pop up. I believe this brush may have been like $1 or $2. So for $2, this brush has held up really well. Really inexpensive, and it is such a nice soft fluffy brush for blending out eyeshadow. I love applying this in the crease area because it is a fluffier brush and it just blends out so nicely. So I never have to worry about harsh lines or anything like that. This brush does a really good job of making sure that my looks are very nice and flawless and blended out. And then after my transition shade, I always typically go in with a little bit of a darker shade, kind of focusing that right in that crease socket area. And for that, my favorite brush to go in with that is the Morphe M3 330 brush. Now this brush here is a tapered blending brush, so it is not as fluffy as the previous one. It has a bit of a tapered point to it, but still really soft and great for blending out as well. And this one I always use whenever I am focusing this right in that eye socket. So whenever I'm applying a darker eyeshadow in my crease, I always go in with this one and apply it there and blend it out as well. And this one's really great for applying and blending, if that makes sense. The previous one I don't think is really good for precise placement because again it is very fluffy and it's not precise. I'll just say that it's not very precise. So this one is just good for kind of applying shadow to a very general area. This one here, since it has a bit of a tapered point to it, this one here is really good for applying it to a precise area and kind of blending it out as you go. Now another brush I like to use for my crease area is the MAC 217 brush. Now this brush here is kind of flatter. It's not really as fluffy as the previous two. This one here is a flatter blending brush, and honestly I kind of just focus this one in the crease area as well. But this one I don't really use so much for blending. Well, I do blend it out with this one, but this one to me is really good for packing shadow in specific areas. So this one I love to use my outer V area. I'll just take this one and kind of just pack it in there, and I always turn the brush to the side and it creates more of a precise placement there. And again, focusing this on the outer V area to create a nice smoky eye, or even just to add some more dimension with a darker shadow. This is really good for that. And then another one I love to use for the crease area, as you can see, I have a lot of crease brushes. This one is the Morphe M514 brush. And this one here is a very thin brush. It's not very fluffy, and it is pretty small. It doesn't have a lot of hairs in the brush, but it is very soft, you guys. Very soft. This one here I typically use whenever I want to get, how do I want to explain this? Okay, if I'm creating a look that has just, for example, if I have a look that's like a dark shadow in the crease, like all over the crease area, this one is really good for that one because it's very thin, so it has very precise placement. So it fits in those smaller areas that you can't get to with the other brushes. This one here is very thin and small. So this one is just good for creating very nice precise lines in that crease area. And again, it's so small so it gets right in that socket and it keeps the eyeshadow right in that socket, if that makes sense. The other ones kind of blend and move around the product. This one here, y'all see that? Y'all see how it kind of just focuses in right in that pocket? That's why I love this brush so much. And also it has nice soft hairs as well, or bristles as well, so it's really easy to kind of softly blend out the eyeshadow without moving it too far up and down, if that makes sense. So if I want to have a shadow right in the crease, I'll take this one, plop it in that crease area, and then lightly blend it out, but it won't transfer the product too much, if that makes sense. So I love this brush. Alrighty, so typically once I have completed my transition crease situation, I always go in with, or whenever I do my lid colors, I typically will use a flat shader brush. Now the two that I use are from the same set, and these are from the Vanity Planet. I can't remember the brush set, It's like the 15-piece vegan set. I can't remember exactly what the set is called. I will leave it down below. But these are two of those brushes from that set. Now this one here is a bigger flat shader brush. It's just a simple flat brush, nothing fancy. It does have natural bristles, so it's really nice and soft. But it's also really dense, if that makes sense. Whenever I want to really pack on my color onto the lid and get that really intense color, this one is really great for that. Now this one's a bigger version of a flat shader brush, but whenever I want something a little bit more detailed, I'll go in with this smaller one. Now this one, as you can see, is a lot smaller compared to this one. Okay, a lot smaller. This one I love to use for like glitter. If I want to just get a really precise placement with my eyeshadow, or just with glitter or pigment, this one's really good for that because it's so small and so precise. So even if I want to cut my crease, for example, I'll go in with this brush because it is so small. This one's good for kind of like all over the brush, or all over the lid, but this one here is really good for a more precise placement. So Both of these are great from that Vanity Planet brush set. My last two eye brushes, and honestly I typically will do this step at the end of my makeup look, but I'm going to go ahead and mention these brushes right now as I conclude the eye brushes, and that is these two brushes here. So the first one is a pointed pencil brush from BH Cosmetics, and it is the 105 brush. Now this one here, as you can see, is very thin and precise. Very, very thin and precise. And this one here I love to use, y'all have seen this before, I love to use this for smudging out the lower lash line. Whenever I apply a liner to my waterline, or I just apply a darker shadow under there and I need to blend it out, I will always go in with a nice pencil brush, especially this one. I love this one because it's so soft. Y'all, it is so, these natural bristles are so soft, and it just blends out like a charm. It makes blending so easy, and so I always go in with this one. And then this is a brush that I always use whenever I'm applying color to my inner corner. Now I typically go in with like an eyeshadow or a highlighter to apply in my inner corner, and I want something that's really small and precise because I don't want it to be too big and get that color kind of all over the place in that area. So I love this brush here, and that is the Coastal Scents BRCS12 brush. It's a very small shader brush. You could use it, you could actually also use this as well for smudging out liner and eyeshadow from under the eyes, but I'm gonna focus this one right in the inner corner because it's so nice and precise, so it really just gives me a nice placement for that shadow right there. And I love to just kind of pop it in that corner, kind of bring it down a little bit to the lower lash line and bring it back up. And that is it. As you can see with most of my brushes, I honestly love to use affordable options because for me, if it ever breaks or I need to get another one, I love to be able to not have to spend an arm and a leg for brushes, to be honest. So I like to stick to more affordable alternatives, and most of these brushes, aside from the MAC ones, have all been really inexpensive. So definitely look down below and check out these brushes. But this one here is great for inner corner. Alrighty, so now I have done my brows and my eyes. So next is skin, and that's foundation, highlighter, and contouring. So I want to just kind of run through these brushes. You guys have seen them plenty of times before. This is like the only brushes that I use for these individual purposes. Eye brushes are kind of tricky because you can kind of interchange them, use them for different purposes, rotate different brushes. My face brushes, I typically just stick to the same brush for every single thing. So first, for foundation, you guys have seen this a million times before, and that is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. Now I love this brush for applying liquid foundation for a couple reasons. A, it's cheap. I believe this brush is like $6. You can get it at Walmart, Target, anywhere that sells e.l.f. This brush is so easily available. So like if I ever run out, or if it ever breaks, or if I need to, if I'm traveling, I need to go get another one, it's so easy to find. So I love that about this brush. Also, I love the shape of it. Okay, so in my tutorials, you guys will see that I typically, whenever I apply my foundation down, I don't, instead of just kind of rubbing it in and kind of just using circular motions, I kind of pat it more, if that makes sense. So I apply it onto my face and then kind of pat it out to blend it out, as opposed to kind of just rubbing it in. And I think this brush is such a good shape for that because it's so round and fluffy. So it really does a good job of applying more foundation, you know, in certain areas. And also it just blends it out so much quicker and so much easier, and it creates a very nice flawless finish. Like I don't have to worry about streaky lines. I don't have to worry about uneven coverage or spotchy patches. Like this just makes applying foundation so easy. And then after foundation, I always go in with concealer. But you guys know that I always use the original Beauty Blender. I have no dupe for that. It's just get the Beauty Blender, y'all. I'm telling you, it will change your life. So after concealer, I'll go in and set my face using a powder brush. And the one that I always use, this is the only brush I ever use, that is also from Coastal Scents, and it is the BRCS27 brush. And this is just a round, big, fluffy powder brush, which is great for just applying powder all over the face. I love it because it's not too light, but also not too dense either. So it does a good job of kind of packing that powder into your skin, really pressing it in there to give you a really nice coverage and finish, but it also doesn't leave you uneven, if that makes sense. So some brushes can be too light to where they don't really get the powder in there, and some can be too dense to where they apply too much. This one applies just the right amount of powder. And this is from Coastal Scents, and I believe it was really expensive. It couldn't have been more than $5. So a really good alternative for a powder brush. Super cheap, has lasted me all this time. And honestly, I will not be getting rid of this brush until it breaks. Alrighty, so after I set my entire face, I typically go in with my bronzer, and this is another brush that I always use. Y'all have seen this brush before plenty of times, and that is another Beauty Cosmetics brush. This one is the number 124, and I believe this one also came in the set. I think this one came in the same set as this brush that I used earlier to apply primer. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was the Blend and Sculpt 2 set. But this brush I love for applying bronzer. Y'all know that. Y'all have seen this before plenty of times. But I love this brush because it's just so soft and fluffy. And honestly, I love the shape of it. Okay, so it's a fluffy brush, but it kind of comes to a really slight taper at the top, which is really good whenever it comes to kind of getting in those cheekbones and around the forehead, because I don't have to worry about it transferring too much, because some brushes, like if it's too fluffy, you'll have a really wide line going down there, and you definitely don't want that. This brush here I can use to kind of really get in that area, and also I use the sides as well to kind of blend it out. So kind of just focus the point into my cheekbones and then kind of turn it to the side and blend it out from there. And it creates the most flawless, beautiful, bronzing glow that I have ever seen, and I just love this brush so much. Alright, I have 3 more brushes left. So after I've bronzed my face, the next, of course, is contouring, and you guys have seen these 2 brushes. These are all I use. So you guys have seen these brushes in every tutorial that I have done. The first one is the MAC 109 brush, and this is a little bit pricey, but I would say this one is definitely worth the money. The reason why is because this one here is a bit of a, I don't know how to describe this shape. It's not fluffy at all. It's not very big. It's actually pretty short, and also pretty thin, pretty small. But I love this one because it's a flat top. So whenever I'm going into contour my cheekbones, I just kind of take the edge of the brush and focus the edge of the brush right into that cheekbone area. And that's how I get a really nice sharp contour. But this step gets me it gets it right in there. So I don't have to worry about it being too far up or too far down and it's making a big mess. This creates a nice contour along the cheekbones and along the hairline, and gets the job done every time. I believe this brush is probably like maybe $20-something, $30, I don't know, but I love this brush. I would recommend it. I honestly haven't found a good dupe or good alternative for this one. I don't know. I've looked for one, but I can't find anything that gives me the same result. So I personally recommend just sticking to this one because it's just that bomb, y'all. So this is a really good one that I love for my cheekbone and my forehead. And then for my nose, you guys know I love my Sonia Kashuk contour brush. I don't know the price, but it's from Target, and it has held me down. I've had it for a couple years, and it has not done me wrong, y'all. And this one, you guys know I love for contouring my nose, just because it is a very nice, precise, flat brush. This one's pretty slim and short and flat. So whenever it comes to contouring my nose, this brush does a really good job of creating that really nice, precise line along the bridge of my nose, or along the sides of my nose, and gives me a really nice, snatched, slim nose that I like. So this one here is perfect for that, just kind of pressing that powder along the bridge of my nose, and we have a nice contoured nose. So both of these I use for contouring 2 different areas, or 3 different areas: my cheekbones, forehead, and then my nose with this one. Alright, and then after I get done bronzing, contouring, all of that, the last step is to hide. And you guys know that I love to glow. Ugh, I love to glow, y'all. So for hiding, I always use the same 2 brushes. And actually, sorry, I thought I had 3 brushes left. I actually had 4 brushes left earlier. But I always use the same 2 brushes for hiding. These brushes will not change for a while. And that is the Morphe M438 brush in this Beauty Cosmetics brush. Doesn't have a number on it. Now, this one here I always use for my cheekbone and my forehead area. I love this brush because it is so, first of all, so soft. Okay, it's soft. I love the size of it. It's not too fluffy and it's not too big. It's actually the perfect size for me for contouring your cheekbones because I like a really nice, for example, I love a really nice hot glow here, but I don't want it to be too wide because if it gets too wide, it looks too crazy. I feel like this gives me a perfect amount of glow in this area and it applies it at the right, it just, I don't know, it just gives me the right amount of glow in the right placement, if that makes sense. I will just typically use, I honestly typically use like the side of the brush, if that makes sense. So I'll dip the brush in the hider and then use it from the side and apply it from the side, not from the top, but from the side, and that's why I get my highlighted look, you guys, and I love this brush. So the forehead, I do the same thing, take it from the side and apply it a little bit, just a little dab in the center, and voila, we are a glowy goddess. And then for my nose, you guys know I love this brush. It is a Beauty Cosmetics brush. It does not have a number. So this one also came in another set from Beauty Cosmetics. I don't know the set though. It did not come in any of the other sets that I used previously. So I don't know exactly what set this came in, but I do know it wasn't sold individually. But this brush here, I love. But basically all it is it's a bigger tapered, like pointed brush, if that makes sense. It's not a pencil brush, but it is a little bit of a bigger pointed brush. And you guys know I love this brush for my nose. So all I do is I just take the brush, dip it in hider, and then apply it to the bridge of my nose, and then make my little point at the tip of my nose, and that's how we get my nose hider. And you guys, I love this brush. I love it because of how precise it is. So I'm sure you guys can find a similar brush out there. I don't really know one, but I'm sure there's one out there somewhere that's a nice dense, it has to be dense. You do not want a fluffy brush because of course that'll get product everywhere. You don't want that, especially on the nose. You want your brush to be very dense so it can, you know, apply product precisely to the areas you want it to be, which is the bridge of your nose and tip of your nose. But you definitely want a very dense brush, and this one is pretty dense. And also you want it to be tapered. You don't want it to be flat or round or anything. You definitely want it to be tapered. So again, it'll be really nice and precise in those areas. But y'all, this brush, I cannot live without. So this is my Holy Grail makeup brush collection. As you guys can see, I have a lot of different brushes for a lot of different reasons. And honestly, first of all, I have not purchased makeup brushes in so long. And that's because I feel like the brushes that I mentioned today are good quality brushes. They are pretty affordable, not expensive at all, except for the MAC brushes. Not expensive at all, and they're good quality. Like, these brushes have lasted me years, okay? Years. So I definitely highly recommend all the brushes that I mentioned today. Honestly, I just feel like the brushes are what creates that makeup look. You know, like the brushes will give you that even coverage. The brushes will prevent you from having streaky lines. The brushes will prevent you from having harsh lines. You know, the brushes are there to do their job. So once you have the right brushes down and the right technique, you can do anything, you guys. So that is it for my go-to makeup brushes. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down below. This one here, as mentioned, was a requested video, so I'm glad to share this one with you guys. And also let me know what you guys want to see coming up, because I want to create content that you guys want to see. So go ahead and let me know down below. And also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel right now. If you're watching it and you are not part of the familia, go ahead and push that button or click that button down below to subscribe to my channel, and also to not miss out on any of my upcoming videos. So with that being said, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye, guys.